Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome one and all to the 2019 annual Top Cider Producers List. Now, for those of you that are unaware of this, basically every year around November time, I take the last year's worth of reviews, tally them up from the past years as well. I do an average rating on all the cider producers that I've reviewed over the years, and I basically come up with a cumulative list of, well, essentially the worst to the best cider producers that I've had so far. Now, there are a few stipulations when it comes to doing this list. The first stipulation is that I have to have at least 3 ciders from the producer in order to make, well, an informed judgment as to whether they're going to be a good or a bad producer. Because basically I take the average rating from each producer, and that gives me an overall number, as you will see, and then I basically put them into the list from there, and we'll see if, like, more ciders give them, make them go up higher or lower. I've got my list in front of me here on my phone, and I've also got my cold nitro brew coffee ready to go. So, last year I did something a little bit different in that I did the top 20 cider producers because, well, I've now got, I think, 34 producers on my list. So I thought, you know what, you guys are probably interested into what didn't quite make the cut for the top 10. So this is going to be part 1, which will be the numbers 20 to 11. Now, before I get onto this, the wooden spoon unfortunately has to go to Sheppey's Cider Company. I haven't got them on the list just quite, but they unfortunately dropped 7 places from last year, and that was mainly due to their, well, quite lackluster low alcohol cider. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest drop of any producer this year. So you never know. I've got another one of their bottles to review in the near future, so you never know, they might bump up again. That one might actually be quite nice, but for now they have unfortunately slipped down 7 places. Now, as for the top 20, yeah, there is actually 3 new producers to this list. So yeah, there's been a bit of a change from last year, but we shall see as we crack on with, well, why don't we start off with number 20. This company has been basically in the top 20 since the very beginning. They were 15th last year, but obviously because of these new producers that have come in, they've obviously slipped down quite a few places, but still, top 20 is pretty good, with an average rating of 7.25 is Orchard Pig. Now, I've not actually done a review of an Orchard Pig cider recently, but I still stand by that they actually do make some really good ciders. Their Reveller, Truffler, and I think Forager is the other one. My most recent review was of their Hogfather, which I suppose you could class them as their vintage, and I believe they've just released a new one. I think it's Pink. Orchard Pig Pink or something like that. So I'm going to be looking out for a bottle of that, but I've not actually seen them around my area recently, which is a bit surprising, but there you go. But yeah, they've been there since the beginning. Number 20, Orchard Pig. Nice one. Number 19, again, this is a company that I've not had a cider from for quite a while, but again, kind of hard to get hold of them, but again, they've been around since the start. They were 14th last year, so again, bumped down a few places with an average score of 7.33. It is Hunt's Cider Company. Yeah, what can I say? Just really masterfully well done ciders. There were a couple that were not as great as the other lot, so that's obviously what has taken them down to the 19th spot, but as I've said, the 19th spot is still a really good position, so yeah, 7.33 goes to Hunt's. That makes them number 19 on this list this year. Number 18, well, again, actually, I think they were new in 2017, so they haven't been there quite since the beginning, but they've been hanging around the top 20 since. They were 13th last year, so again, they've bumped down, but again, with an average score of 7.33, but I just prefer them slightly better than Hunt's Cider Company, and that is St. Paul's Cidery. I mean, I like their ciders so much that I've actually got their bottles in my drinks cabinet behind me on display, because I still stand by that they've got some of the coolest looking labels for a cider company out there. Their Lucifer Dry, which is very cool, 6.66%. Their Pagan and their Sacrifice, they've recently just released a new cider as well. Haven't been able to get hold of that, but yeah, their Sacrifice especially was amazingly good. It says only 8%, but if you've had really strong scrumpies for the years, then 8% isn't really that big of a deal. But yeah, really awesome cider company, really cool labels. They're based in Bristol, which is one of my favourite cities to go to, and it's sort of like one of the homes of cider as well, with all the bars. So I really must get round to trying them out again. But St Paul's at number 18. Nice one. Right, on the number 17 spot, we have our first new cider company for 2019. This was thanks to them in part for, sending the ciders over to me, so I really thank you for them. With an average score of 7.5, it is the Cotswold Cider Company. Now, I have a feeling that this list is going to change next year because I have another one of their ciders to review in the drinks cabinet, or in my drinks fridge, should I say. But yeah, they sent two of each of their flavours that they had at that time of their range for me to try. So one for myself, one to review. And do you know what? I liked each and every one of them. They're no-brainer, they're Sideburns. Yeah, they're just... And really cool label designs as well. They really stand out. They're really punchy, and they all had such unique and interesting flavours. Every single one of them was different from the other. And to be fair, they're sweet cheeks. They're rosé cider, I suppose you could call it, with blush cider, I think they call it. Was a really great example of an infused cider, and just a great, example of you can make a cider with natural fruits and it can taste really good. So yes, thank you very much for sending those over to me, Cotswold Cider Company. And as I said, keep an eye out for that review of the other bottle I've yet to review later on, in the near future. So number 17 goes to Cotswold Cider Company. Well done, guys. Number 16 is also a new company. A new cider producer, because it's not really a company, it's one person pretty much that has made that makes these ciders. But yeah, new for 2019, and I do have a feeling that once again this is going to change significantly next year, with an average score of 7.62. And this might be a bit controversial for some guys, but it is Oliver's Cider. Now, I did actually review a couple of Oliver's ciders many years ago, many years ago, in big 750 milliliter bottles, and it's only just recently that I managed to actually get a hold of a bottle of his Fine Dry, which was absolutely superb. In fact, I've only recently just done the review, so I'll probably pop it in a box or something, or a card, so you can go and watch that review. But I have a feeling that this might need to do a bit of a re-review, because, as I said, that was many years ago. My taste buds were still developing at that time, so they weren't used to the sheer awesomeness that is Oliver's cider. But I've recently purchased a bottle of his Pomona number 3. It's in the drinks cabinet, so that's going to be a review in the future. So that rating is definitely, I would probably say, is going to go up next year. So take that one with a little pinch of salt, and yeah, I definitely see that this is going to go up in the future. So, but still, at number 16 spot, beating out all the other ones that I've mentioned and the other 10 or so, is Oliver's Cider at number 16. Number 15 has been on this list since the very beginning, and again, it's been in the top 20 pretty much since the very beginning. I believe at one point they were all the way up at number 11, but they've recently started going down in the list. They were 12th last year, and they find themselves at the number 15 spot this year, with an average score of 7.66. It is Bemble with Care. What else can I say about this company that hasn't already been said in my previous lists? A fantastic company based in Germany. They produce some really cool labels. Quite a basic design, but it's quite eye catching, and they have some very interesting ciders, to say the least. They've obviously got their natural. But they've got their Kirsch, which is a cherry cider, really tasty. And the strangest one of all is their cola cider. That's to some people that's going to be like, what, cola cider? Surely it doesn't work. I'll tell you now, it does, and I really do like it. It's funny because some people over in Germany, they sort of bash them a little bit and saying, well, they're not real cider or anything, but well. Yeah, cola and cider, makes, says it already, but give it a go. It is definitely worth it. And I am still very privileged that they have essentially sent me over their entire range, including the ciders that are only available to purchase in Russia, which is just phenomenal. I'm never going to be able to get a hold of those bottles again. So I have to give props to them for that. And yeah, just keep on making fantastic ciders. So, number 15 goes to Bemble with Care. Number 14. Again, these guys have been on this list since the very beginning, I do believe. They've slipped down from 11th place last year. Now, these guys, at this moment in time, are making some waves in the cider market. Their Raison d'etre sounds absolutely fantastic, and it is getting rave reviews along with all their other fine cider lists, their flaky bark perry and everything. Just top marks overall. I've not had them, but with an average score of 7.91, I'm talking about Rosson Wye Cider Company. I would imagine if I can get a hold of some of these fine cider bottles, then these guys are probably going to skyrocket up the list, because their most recent additions to their range just sound absolutely phenomenally good. But don't forget, 7.91 is still an absolutely fantastic score, and all the ciders that I have had from their range have been, again, still top quality. So if you I think they frequent Borough Market in London quite a bit. So if you do, the cider range anyway. So if you do see their range, then I would definitely say give them a go, because some of them are quite limited supplies, so you have to get them when you see them. But if you do, I'm sure it'll be very much worth it. So, at number 14 spot is Rosson Wye Cider Company. Watch this space for these guys. I'm sure they're going to go far. Number 13. Again, these guys have been here since the beginning. They were 10th last year, so they've gone down a bit. But they're definitely going to change next year as well, because, again, I've got a bottle of their Devon Mist to review, and it's going to be coming up in the next 3 or 4 weeks, I would say. I've got a couple more to review before then. But the number 13 spot, with an average score of 8.0, goes to Sanford Orchards. These guys these were one of the first cider producers, really, that sort of got me into real cider. Their Devon Red is still a very good example of a cider. You can get it in supermarkets. In fact, I saw it in my local home bargain store recently, and it was going for the ridiculous price of something like 89 pence or 69 pence per can. At that, I mean, that is an absolute bargain for what is a really nice tasting cider. And all the other range that I've tried so far have been really delightful, really refreshing, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying out their Devon Mist. So again, this rating is definitely going to change next year, but at the end of the day, an average score of 8.0 is definitely a fantastic score. So well done, Sanford Orchards. You definitely deserve the number 13 spot on my list. Number 12, the same deal as always. They've just dropped down a couple of places from 9th last year with an average score of 8.0. I haven't had any of their range this year, but it just shows just how consistently good their ciders are, is Perry's Cider Company. Now, I've had their ciders from the old label range and the new label range. I must admit, I thought the old labelling with the leaf motif was quite cool, but their new labelling with the with the stamps, with the animals and the bugs and the insects on them is just fantastic. Really, really gorgeous label designs on there. And yeah, I've had some really, really great ones. The ones that spring to mind are sort of like, I suppose you could call them the birds trio. So you've got like their puffin, their barn owl, and I believe it's their grey heron. Those three were just absolutely superb quality ciders, each and every one of them. But that's not to say that the rest of the range is not worth looking at either, because it most certainly is. Their Somerset Red Streak is a fantastic example of a single variety cider. So yeah, if you do see them, which if you do, you're going to be drawn to them anyway, because their label designs are so great. But if you're around Somerset and you see the Perry's ciders, do not hesitate and buy some bottles, because you are going to love them. So yeah, the number 12 spot easily goes to Perry's with a score of 8.0. And so, to round off this this 20 to 11 list is the third new cider producer that has made the list. And well, judging from how high it is, it's obviously made a really good impression with me. It also scores an average rating of 8.0, but I've put it just slightly higher than Perry's, mainly because I've had them just more recently, but it's like that. It's sort of like neck and neck with the ratings. And do you know what? It's all the way from New Zealand. It is Peckham's Cider Company. Now, what can I say? Eric Bryan, Derpy Derp, I suppose, as he's known. Just, what can I say? Thank you so much for sending over, meeting me in person and giving me these ciders to try all the way from New Zealand. He was visiting relatives in the UK, and he was just having a little trip over, and yeah, we actually met each other. A really, really cool guy. I follow him on Untapped and everything now, but he introduced me to the Peckham's Cider Company, and well, what can I say? Just really, really fantastic ciders. But apparently they've just released some more on their range, and they're even better than the ones that I've tried. So some of them were like basically super rare ciders almost, in that, limited quantities and everything. So yeah, they're Motorary. Motorary. It looks like Muter on the front of the can, but Motorary is how you pronounce it. That was definitely the one that stood out to me. It was just such a really, really nice tasting cider. Just fantastic. If you are in the New Zealand area, if you're going over there for a holiday, you like your ciders and you see Peckham's, well, there you go. You know that they're definitely worth picking up. So, yeah, thank you once again, Derpy Derp. And, that Peckham Cider Company easily makes the number 11 spot on this list. So there we go. That is the number 20 to 11. Stay tuned soon for part 2, where we will be counting down the 10 to the number 1 spot. Are things going to have changed much? Are they going to remain the same? We shall see. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on part 2. Take care, guys. Until next time.